Polygamy in Africa, historical and cultural roots. Polygamy in Africa has existed throughout the history of Africa. Polygamy, particularly polygyny, is a highly valued social institution in Africa. Polygamy is a marriage between a man or woman and their multiple spouses. Polygyny is a marriage between a man and multiple wives. Polyandry is a marriage between a woman and multiple husbands. A common expectation for African kings in African societies is for African kings to symbolically unify his kingdom and the society through partaking in polygamous marriages with wives from a broad range of clans within the society. By doing so, the king reduces the chance of dissident and rival forces developing and rising against him. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sephora Moses and I welcome you to Ink and Tales. Today we are exploring the cultural roots of polygamy in Africa. Polygamy, specifically polygyny, one man with multiple wives, has a long and complex history in Africa, deeply intertwined with social, economic, and cultural factors. It was not a uniform practice across the continent, but varied based on specific contexts and historical periods. Social status and wealth. In many African societies, a man's status and wealth were often reflected in the number of wives he possessed, as more wives meant more children and more labor. Polygamy provided a larger workforce for agriculture and other tasks, contributing to the family's productivity and wealth. High child mortality rates. In pre-colonial Africa, high infant and child mortality rates led to polygamy as a way to ensure the continuation of the family lineage and provide a larger pool of potential survivors. Even more so, polygamy was also tied to inheritance, with more wives increasing the likelihood of having male heirs to carry on the family name. And polygamy was sometimes used to forge political alliances between families, villages, or even kingdoms. Historical accounts. North Africa, Egypt. Evidence for polygamy in ancient Egypt can be found among both the Middle Kingdom and the New Kingdom. During the dynasty rule of Amenophis III, numerous polygamous marriages between Amenophis III and foreign princesses occurred, which later led to the princesses being buried in the Valley of the Queens, along with the following description of them as part of the harem of the king. While monogamy was predominant among ancient Egyptians, neither customs and traditions nor laws of ancient Egypt criticized polygamy. A husband treating his wife well, family stability and wholesome co-parenting was encouraged. The act of adultery was socially stigmatized. Women could also compose their own marital contracts, which may have contributed to lower rates of divorce and opportunities for polygyny. Kings of ancient Egypt partook in polygamous marriages. Politically arranged polygamous marriages occurred between male members of the royal family and the foreign princesses, while lower class and middle class men mostly could not afford to financially support more than two wives or wife and concubines. Kings and upper-class men could afford to engage in polygamy, with kings having many wives and concubines, and upper-class men having at least one wife and some concubines. It can be difficult to draw broad conclusions about the ancient Egyptians and polygamy due to the frequent ambiguity found among available evidence from ancient Egypt. West Africa, Ivory Coast. Following the development of Ivory Coast's first national census in 1975 CE, 23% of men were found to be participating in a polygamous marriage, and the average polygynist man was found to have 2 to 3 wives, with higher rates of polygyny found in rural areas than in Abidjan. From 1955 CE to 1988 CE, rates of polygyny in Ivory Coast remained fairly consistent, occurring with 4 out of 10 married women, though there was some decline found in rural areas from the early 1960s CE to mid-1970s CE. The Mali Empire. Between the 12th century CE and the 15th century CE, polygamy was a cultural practice of the Mali Empire. In the mad narrative of Sundiata Keita's epic, Keita partook in a polygamous marriage with 2 women whom he had children with, and whose children were in political competition with one another. Mauritania. In Teshit culture, households may have been used by extended families or polygamous families at locations such as aggregates. East Africa, Uganda. During the Kingdom of Buganda, the king of Buganda partook in polygamous marriages to reduce the chance of dissidents and rival forces developing and rising against him. Impact of colonialism and European influence. European colonization and the spread of Christianity brought a shift in perspectives, with monogamy becoming the norm in many regions. Colonial authorities often implemented laws restricting or banning polygamy, sometimes due to economic and political motivations, as well as religious beliefs. Variations and modern interpretations. While polygamy is less widespread today than it was historically, it still exists in many parts of Africa, with varying degrees of acceptance and practice. In some areas, polygamy is viewed as a cultural tradition, while in others, it may be seen as a way to address social issues or provide for women and children. Religious beliefs, particularly Islam, can also influence the practice and acceptance of polygamy. In conclusion, the history of polygamy in Africa is a complex interplay of social, economic, cultural, and political factors. While its prevalence has shifted over time, it remains a part of the continent's diverse social landscape. Polygamy in Africa by countries, namely Algeria, Angola, Benin, Botswana, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Djibouti, Egypt, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Gabon, the Gambia, Ghana, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Ivory Coast, Kenya, Lesotho, Liberia, Libya, Madagascar, Malawi, Mali, Mauritania, Mauritius, Morocco, Mozambique, Namibia, Nigeria, Rwanda, Sao Tome and Principe, Senegal, Seychelles, Sierra Leone, Somalia, South Africa, South Sudan, Tanzania, Togo, Tunisia, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye-bye.